Everyone, I'm Joey and you're watching Backpacker Brothers, and today I'm going to talk to you about backpacking gear for 2020 and specifically the trekking poles that I just got. So if you've watched many of our previous videos, especially any of our trip videos, you've seen that Pete and I are both frequent users of trekking poles. They're really helpful to kind of take a little bit of load off your legs when you're carrying all that weight and doing all those miles in the backcountry. And you can use them to help you climb uphill, to brace yourself going downhill. They can give you a little bit of extra balance if you're going across like a single boardwalk type thing, which happens frequently. And also they can be used as a tool. You can use them to sort of pitch a tarp on a hammock out. There are even now some backpacking tents out there, for example, like the Z-Packs Duplex, that rely on trekking poles. So trekking poles are a really useful thing. So this is my third ever pair of trekking poles. So the first pair that I had were a rather expensive pair, you know, something between $100 and $200. They were an REI branded pair of trekking poles. They were pretty lightweight, they were carbon fiber, and they were certainly very good quality. I got a lot of mileage out of those poles, but if you watched our Colorado trip video, you saw that I actually snapped one of those poles in half. I mean, thing is just... Long story short, we were doing a bunch of night hiking at that time because I had some altitude sickness. Go check it out if you haven't watched that one. I did break that trekking pole, and so I decided to get a new pair. I ended up going with the Cascade Mountain carbon fiber poles. Those poles I've used a lot now, and I got those because Pete actually was the first one of the two of us to get those Cascade Mountain poles. We actually did a specific review on those poles. If you haven't watched that, you can go check that out. Those are still a really great buy. They're like $45. So the poles I'm going to talk to you about today are also a pair of trekking poles that are made by Cascade Mountain. These are new though. When I bought my other Cascade Mountain poles and when Pete bought those were kind of the best ones that they had. These poles are also carbon fiber. They're a little more expensive, but that being said, these are probably some of the lightest weight trekking poles that I have pretty much ever heard of. I think they say these are about 5.4 ounces each. I always take these straps out because I just personally don't like them. I don't use them. That maybe cuts, you know, a fraction of an ounce off. When I take these trekking poles and I put them on my scale, they're 5.2 ounces each. That's super lightweight. I had a chance to use these up north on the North Shore. I actually went up with my girlfriend, Taylor, who's new to backpacking, and you'll be seeing her in videos to come. So I found that I really liked these poles. They're just as sturdy and stiff as any other trekking poles I've ever used. So one of the ways that they save weight on these trekking poles is that they're only adjustable at one spot here. So really all that means, you know, you can still get just as much length out of these trekking poles as you can out of traditional trekking poles that will adjust at two locations, or even the ones that sort of are breakable like tent poles. That being said, I just really don't care about that. Usually if I'm bringing trekking poles with me, I'm using them the entire time I'm hiking, and then when I'm not hiking, I'm not carrying them, so I don't care how small they collapse to. You know, there was one point where at the end of our trip that we just did, we went on a small loop around a lake where the whole thing was boardwalk, and so I wasn't using my trekking poles there. I had no problem stowing these anyways. They're not in the way being this long, so to me, I really like that trade-off to get less weight. One of the things that we did mention when we did a review on those other Cascade Mountain poles, the $45 carbon fiber ones, was that we thought, well, you know, maybe if there's going to be a pitfall to these, it's these locking mechanisms, because they're pretty much all plastic except for the screw that goes through that, you know, you thread this nut on, which the nut's plastic too. Some of the higher end poles out there have aluminum construction here. But you know what? This is lighter than that aluminum construction, and again, we have put so many miles on now 3 different poles with these, and they have never had any issues. None of them are broken, they haven't bent or anything like that. So again, it's one of those things that seems like it's a bit of a trade-off, but actually there's no need, as far as we can tell, to have these be a stronger material, which of course then means it's going to be heavier and more expensive. So overall, I think that these trekking poles are probably the best value you can get out there right now for a pair of truly ultralight, high quality, strong and reliable trekking poles. And at about 65 or so dollars, you really can't beat that price. So far, highly recommended, and we'll see how these go for the rest of 2020. As for my old pair of Cascade Mountain Tech poles, I'm going to be handing those down to my girlfriend Taylor. She's new to backpacking. We've now done 2 trips, but she loves it, and she is just as strong a hiker as any of us are. She's been getting some new gear, and we're also going to start looking at maybe doing some gear reviews on the stuff that she's been getting. Definitely look forward to seeing more of Taylor and maybe getting, you know, a nice kind of fresh female perspective and a perspective on some female gear. For example, like the pack she just bought, which you'll be hearing about at some point here. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.